Welcome back to the channel here. I am joined today by no one just yet, but he's coming very soon. It's an extremely special guest because I never in a million years thought he would ever come on. And he's coming on. So this is my youngest brother, Izak. He's currently in Brazil on a gap year. And I think he's growing a lot and he's been on a journey and I think he's looking for a path. So needless to say, and I'm extremely delighted to have a family member on that's not my brother or my dad, even though I love them very much. It's time for some fresh blood. So here we go. Isaac, bem-vindo no podcast.
Tudo bem?
Tudo bem, normal. So this is my youngest brother. I'm so happy to have him on the podcast. He texted me this morning. Did you watch the podcast with Aaron?
I watched it for a bit. I watched like the first 15 minutes, but then it got pretty boring. So,
Yeah, that's how it usually goes. But I asked him to come on before and he wasn't sure, but today he texted me he wanted to come on. So really
Mhm.
excited. And as I told you offline, I'd like for you to introduce yourself to the people listening, and you can do that however you like. So floor is yours.
Yeah, so my name is Isaac. I'm now coming from Brazil. I've been here for the past 6 months, so it's been an amazing lifetime or adventure. And yeah, I grew up in Leus, the same as Lucas, obviously. And yeah, loving family and stuff. As the youngest though, so it has the upsides, but also the downsides.
Hmm.
Like I think Lucas still thinks I got away with everything because I'm the youngest, which is sometimes kind of true, but like
Not
yeah.
always.
Uh but yeah, no, the downsides obviously are that like everybody left me basically.
Yeah.
All you guys left me to rot in the house. Uh which got lonely, but it's all right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just finished high school like 7 months ago. The lowest level out of all of the kids from our family, but I'm still happy to be here.
Hmm.
And yeah, now I'm doing an exchange in Brazil for a year.
Okay. When you were growing up, were you a happy child, you think? Would you describe yourself as a
Yeah, well, I think I was, but I definitely had some like inner angry issues, I think. I
demons?
don't even know why, but yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, we were
But
quite
like I
similar.
remember,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember every time I got mad when I was a kid, I would like slam my head against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And I think we had like a lot of fights,
Yeah, I still have
which is pretty
scars.
weird because you were at one point like, I don't know, 30 centimeters taller than me and way more ripped. So
I have a scar on my back because he stabbed me with a with a iron pipe. Do you remember? It was
no, it was
a rusty.
the needle that you use for knitting, and it was like broken down.
Oh, well, I remember an
Yeah,
like a pipe. You hit me with a pipe, but I don't know about.
yeah, yeah. But it was the needle that was like broken.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
it
this,
was fun though. Yeah.
yeah, it was fun, and so Isaac and I think we were 6 years apart, and but I think we were much closer than I was closer to you than most of my other siblings. I think growing up, we played a
Hmm.
lot of video games together, and and I think I don't know, we are very similar. We are most similar in how we look, let's say, physically, and I recognize some of what you're saying about anger uh, in myself, and so
Hmm.
do you still have that? You think?
Well, I don't get angry very easily right now. I can get upset pretty quick, but like the real anger,
Yeah.
I think in the past I relived it like a couple months ago with the whole rotary thing.
Hmm.
And that was like real anger, and I got like the most angry I think I've ever been in my life.
This was
But I
because
never ex
you were
yeah,
accused
it was because
wrongly.
yeah, they tried to send me back home for like a, another real reason.
Yeah.
Like they made up a reason.
Yeah.
There was some truth behind it, of course, but like
So this was about
the,
like
the
about drinking or partying or something.
yeah, yeah. They basically said I bought drinks for the whole group, like a bunch of exchange students, and I bought drinks for all of them, and then peer pressured the kids who were under 18 into drinking, and that's why I got yellow cards.
Hmm. And so two
But
yellow
yeah.
cards is a red card, and you have to
Yeah,
go
two
home.
yellow cards, two red cards, and then you go back home. And in the Netherlands, you have to pay €1,000 fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that was like the first time I experienced real anger, like
Yeah.
in a long time.
Okay. And you feel I feel like that kind of went away for you, and you're in a better place now in your time in Brazil. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it kind of faded, which I'm glad because I think if it didn't, like in that month, things just kept like getting more wrong and like they tried to kick me out of school also
Yeah.
and stuff after 3 weeks. Which like everything goes on top of each other and then it like brews up.
Yeah.
You're angry even more.
Yeah.
But like right now I'm the happiest I've ever been, I think.
That's good. That's very good.
So yeah.
I want to go back a
Hmm.
bit to your childhood. So you were saying in high school you did the lowest level of all of the kids, and
Yeah.
well, I the way that I often describe it to people is that so you have the three levels in the Netherlands: MAVO, HAVO,
Hmm.
VWO, and people that do HAVO. So you did HAVO, so it'd be like the middle level in terms of the length, duration of it, and I guess the difficulty of some of the subjects. But that often reflects that people have more of a practical intelligence, let's say, and so
Hmm.
they end up usually doing jobs that are more practical. And I don't know. With that, I just want to tell you, it's just I think it's a bad way to think about it, and I hate that
No, it
it's
was a
like,
joke. It was a joke,
yeah,
I
I
know.
understand, but I just
Hmm.
want to make sure that
Yeah.
you don't ever think about it that way, because most people that do highest level, they have after 5 years, 50 or 60,000 student debt, and they don't make any money.
Hmm.
They work at Starbucks. And whereas people that do a lower level, they often are much more successful, and they have an intelligence that is different. And I'm definitely seeing you um, an intelligence that not any of us have. So, um, and I think you're definitely gifted enough to have done the level that we did. But I think you
Thank
enjoyed
you.
high school a little much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So tell me about your experience of high school. I think you were having a really good time in your last
Well,
2 years, let's say.
yeah, yeah. So like I basically had a perfect run with school. So like no redos or stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And but it's kind of weird because um like in the second or third year of high school, I suddenly like flipped the switch
Hmm.
in uh like my behavior,
How
which
so?
I did it on purpose. But like, well, I remember in the the second year of high school, I studied like for 2 weeks for this German test, and I got a one, okay,
Oh
which is
no.
like I don't even know how. And then everybody got like a 9.6, 9.7, and I was like, oh, maybe she did it wrong, and maybe it's 10. But no, it was just a one. And then I remember I always got very nervous if like the teacher spoke to me or called out my name or something. And then that day I went on a meeting with my German teacher and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get nervous. I'm not gonna like chicken out or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I just flipped that switch and then I became like more outgoing,
Hmm.
uh, like less self-conscious and stuff. But because I did that, like I don't know if it's the exact reason, but because I realize now that like I barely have any memories from the first 2 years of high school, let alone my whole primary school.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's the same for you, but I feel like they all start fading away way faster.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also sometimes people get a sense of self maybe when they're 14 or when they're 12 or
Hmm.
when they're 10, and then memories become a lot more vivid. I have a terrible memory of my, well, I just have a bad memory of my childhood. Like I barely remember
Yeah,
a lot of it, but I definitely recognize what you're saying. And I think I had a similar uh, story. Let's say that you just
yeah,
you flip a switch and you kind of, um, I think you care less about the less important things. Um, like I think the nervousness or like the self-consciousness, it reflects something that you want to get
hmm,
rid of, and I think that you did.
yeah,
And and so after that, it got better, I guess, for you. You had a better experience, a more enjoyable.
yeah. Well, it depends. Like
How
my
you did?
grades started going down a bit,
Yeah,
um, but I definitely had way more fun.
yeah,
Like I made like I think every year I made new friends, and then especially in the fourth year for HAVO,
yeah,
which basically means you have a bunch of people from MAVO, the year lower, who
yeah,
like are trying to do a higher level.
yeah,
So they come in my year, and you have a bunch of people who redo a year. So I think that year, I became friends with like a bunch of people who were like 2.5 years older than me, 2 years
yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
which are now my best friends.
Why do you think
Which is
you
kind of
gravitate?
weird.
Why do you think you gravitated toward older kids?
I don't know. I think it's because of my childhood, like growing up with you guys, being the youngest kid. Like I think it helped me a lot being like socially more mature
Yeah,
than the other kids from my age. And I'm glad for it because I think like sometimes I think like the people from my age are still like mentally 12 or something, you know?
yeah,
It's just yeah, it of course it differentiates, but
yeah,
yeah. No, but I'm really glad with my friends. Like they helped me like they made my high school experience definitely way better,
yeah.
like way more fun. So yeah. But like my motivation did go down like
For
I don't
school.
know, I think at one point it wasn't even there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think everyone was really happy that you passed your exams because there's like a if your motivation keeps going down, but you're still passing stuff, at some point the other line
Hmm.
goes down as well. And I think it was just at this point where you just barely passed it with the little motivation you had left. And I think if you hadn't, it would have gone down more. And now you have the diploma and you're done. You don't have to think
And
about
I'm
it.
done, yeah.
Yeah, super nice.
And it's amazing, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
otherwise,
glad.
also the trip that you are taking now would have been a lot different, I think. Would you
Yeah,
have
because I would have like mhm.
would you have still taken the trip?
Well, I was like I in my contract with Rotary, it says if you do not pass your exams, you still have to go
Ah,
and redo the year like next year.
yeah. Well, so it's
Hmm.
good. It's good it ended up that way. Okay.
Hmm.
Tell me about music. So your relationship to
Music.
music and where that started and how you think about it and just what you want to say about it, whatever comes up.
Well, I think it like started with you guys.
Yeah.
Like I think my music taste comes a lot from you, and I think you got a lot from Aaron.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't. I was always interested in music. Like when I was 10, I played the drums,
Hmm.
and I played the piano a little bit on and off as like a hobby. But I think my love in music came like from you guys.
Yeah.
Like even I remember you driving me to, I don't know, McDonald's and playing Astroworld from Travis Scott. It's
Yeah.
like a memory I have,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And I think like in the last 4 years or something, I really started appreciating music. And I think right now it's becoming my passion as well.
Yeah.
Uh, Even though I'm not the best at it, but it takes practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I like about music is that it like you can express your feelings and emotions in like, of course, the words, but also in the sounds you hear.
Yeah. Sometimes it's difficult
And I
to
think,
express into words maybe and then sounds are better.
hmm yeah, and I think that's like beautiful, and that everybody. like is able to tell their own story.
Hmm.
Um, and I yeah, even but like also even music that only makes you happy, like that there's no like real story in it
Yeah,
or like the words don't really add up, but like still it makes you happy some way. Like music can do so many good things.
yeah,
Like I remember having one of the worst days and then I don't know, you hear this one artist do this one super cool thing in a certain song and it made my day like better immediately.
yeah. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Do you have a favorite artist?
Yeah. I think yeah, it's between Kanye West, definitely.
Yeah.
I know it's controversial right now, but
Yeah,
I don't really
we
care.
watched the documentary together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah. But that was still like I think before all the stuff he said about Hitler.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. And who's the
but
other?
I think he's doing a bit better now.
Yeah,
Well, then you have Frank Ocean, which you put me on.
yeah, I have him here.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, yeah,
Poster.
it's there. Yeah, I have one in my room as well, and I really hope he drops again though.
Yeah,
Like he hasn't dropped music in a long time, but no, I think like Kanye is like the most influential artist. Like I think out of the modern like
yeah.
years, like this millenn or century,
Hmm.
just the way he like reinv or like invented certain types of music that like people at the time were like, what is this? This
Yeah,
sucks. And then now years later they realize like, whoa, everybody's doing this now.
yeah, yeah.
And but
He's
not only for
found
his
them.
music, like him as a person, like also with his fashion,
Yeah,
if you look back at his photos, you see him like wearing styles that people just discovered like a year ago, even though he was wearing it 6 years ago.
yeah, yeah. It's
And I think even though he may be crazy, he still has some valid points and
yeah, and I think
you should.
he's his craziness kind of makes him good at this because sometimes crazy people have a heightened ability to read patterns, and then it makes them
Hmm.
it kind of makes you crazy because you see the world in a different way. But you see how in the
Yeah.
documentary that we watched, how certain he is that he's gonna make it when he's like really young. And
Hmm.
I mean, you can only you could also have a film about someone else and they didn't make it, but with Kanye, you just saw the certainty, like the conviction, and the people
Yeah.
around him also they knew like this is happening, and that's it's very unique. And of course, he was a producer first. I think that a lot of
Yeah.
people don't even know that, but that takes so much musical understanding. It's extremely
Hmm.
sophisticated, and yeah, I'm with you. It's also he's also one of my favorite artists for sure, mostly because of the versatility and well, I love the older albums. They're really
Yeah, me too.
so amazing. But even I thought that his latest album, I think it's his latest, Donda.
Cultures?
Oh, there's another.
No, no, no.
I'm
Okay,
not
yeah.
even aware, but that one I actually
There are two more. You shouldn't even listen to them to be
they're
honest.
not good.
In his latest album he used AI for one of the songs as well
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff. But no, the new albums they suck. But he's bringing a new one out as well,
Okay.
which from the leaks it sounds pretty good. But yeah. But
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
Well,
Donda.
yeah, Donda was so. I just really like. I thought there were just some songs on there that really, I don't know, they hit the spot.
Hmm.
And I love what he did with the gospel albums and well, it was one album. Yeah, no, he did his own gospel thing where it was like a 20-minute thing, and then he did the actual Sunday service choir, which is really cool. Um,
Hmm.
so a topic that is often on my podcast that I think about and it's important to me, and I've had a big struggle with it, is of course the faith and Christianity and growing up, um, with our dad and the way we were raised and going to church. And I don't know, as a
Hmm.
17-year-old living in the modern world, how do you look at that, and how is that for you growing up, going to church and being exposed to Christianity?
Well, yeah, I think we like us two had like the most similar experience out of all the kids. With that being like, uh, we were like, I couldn't enjoy church because it was not like I'm going because I want to, I'm going because I need to,
Yeah.
and I need to do this till I'm 18.
Yeah.
And then uh, I think at one point you definitely went more extreme than me, like about not going to church, but um, at one point we both like did the dad's book together.
Yeah.
So he made like this book, which basically for people who want to believe in God, he like reconstructs the Bible in like the most important lessons you can take from it and makes it like easier to understand the meaning.
Hmm.
And so I think every Sunday, instead of going to church, we would read a chapter with him.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, our dad has this rule that you need to go to church with him until you're 18. But I don't know, I'm glad, I'm really glad I did the book because um I don't know, I feel like the church thing because I didn't want to be there. I'm not gonna sing the songs, I'm not gonna read the text, I'm not gonna do anything I don't want to,
Yeah, it's
because
good for people to know that the church that we went to is like 98% really old people, and it's very um
yeah,
though I think it's a good place. I think still the last time I went there I was still like cringing a lot at a lot of things. Yeah, but continue.
yeah. And I also think, yeah, I think you were like hungover at one point every Sunday, and
Yeah.
then you always went to like the upstairs area and were sleeping in uh
Yeah,
in like
I
the
did.
little
I slept.
chairs. Yeah,
I forgot about that. It's so terrible. Yeah,
yeah.
Aaron actually started that because he told me about putting in his earphones while he was at the church. Because there's a section at the church that's upstairs, and almost no one sits there most Sundays, and you can actually lie down if you like.
Mhm.
It's really bad. Yeah, okay, but continue. So you
That's stupid. Yeah,
read the book, and that was good for you.
yeah. And I think, yeah, and I think all because that's because you do read it because you talk over it with dad and stuff. So.
Yeah,
And I think also, so that really helped my faith a lot because I always like wanted to be, I didn't want to be a Christian, I thought like
yeah,
I hate Christian people, like always on like the internet are so annoying and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, but I like right now, but what I did always do was every time I would get in an argument with my friends about Christianity, how much, even though like I was opposed to it, I still defended it.
ah,
Because the people like my friends who created the arguments were like based on false truths.
yeah,
They always use the argument with, yeah, but he walked on water, nobody ever did that and stuff.
yeah,
So the whole thing is bullshit
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And but no. And so I think the book helped a lot, but still I wasn't really convinced of like the the meaning and like why people turn Christian. But then actually I think it was when grandpa died. Um I remember me, Steven, and Tirza went to his house for the last time, and Tirza asked him if he was scared to die. And what he said was, no, I'm curious to see what it's like.
yeah,
And that's how much faith he had that there was like something after the death and to be with his wife again. And if you like, also like Opa Tone, our other grandpa, like both of them were like so okay with dying
yeah,
of the thought of seeing their wives again.
yeah, yeah.
And that's what I like think Christianity is also good for. It's about like also accepting like the whole believing in a God thing is basically like accepting that you don't know what's like the meaning of something.
Mm-hmm.
So you put a God in it, so you put it to a God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just like a good way to do it, but also like I think Opa Bert was like the most faithful person I've ever met with all the stuff he did for other people.
Yeah,
And that's what I really think Christianity is about. It's like the things it teach you, of course, like forgiving and stuff.
yeah.
Uh, and I do think like I don't want to personally, I don't want to go to church later.
Mm-hmm.
or read the Bible every day, but I think it's just I'm fine with calling myself a Christian if it means I'm living by the rules Jesus has like taught everyone
Yeah,
and all the things that are taught in the Bible.
yeah.
I think that's most important.
That's beautiful. I feel the same way. I think for me, it's based on behavior, and there's this very famous line that says, "By their fruits you shall know them," and it basically means that. Well, I think this is what it means: is that how people behave and what that gets them, and what kind of people it turns them into. That's how you know if what they're doing is fruitful or good, and that I think is related to what they believe. So if someone believes, let's say, if someone is an atheism and they believe
Hmm.
there's no God and there's no free will and there's no good and there's no evil, oftentimes, by their fruits you shall know them. They behave pretty. They can behave quite morally, and they can think of human beings
Yeah.
as lower. And I think the example is really good of grandpa, that because of his faith, he was so good and he was so rich in terms of uh,
Hmm.
everything. So people
Yeah.
and just how much people loved him and the love he had. So that's how I examine if a belief system or if something is good. So I look at that the
Hmm.
same way, and I think the other things kind of follow.
Yeah.
For me, what actually really helped is that even though everyone around me didn't believe in God when I was, let's say, your age, the people that I really looked up to did, like
Hmm.
football players and artists, and like, and it was always so weird to me. It's like the people that I thought were the most cool, they were often like religious, and I always wondered about that.
Yeah.
So when I was your age and playing football, when I scored a goal, I always did the cross, and I didn't even call myself a Christian, but I just thought that was so cool. It's like
Yeah.
you are like humble, and everything you do is like it's part of something bigger, and I thought that was so cool, and so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear your
I'm
thoughts.
sorry, I just need to my dad is screaming at me.
Oh, it's okay. Take a sec.
Sorry, I need
Yeah, no,
to
bro.
talk to my dad real
We
quick. One
pause it.
sec.
It's okay. Estou ligando. Snap je?
Oh, está ligando.
Yeah, estou
Estou
ligando.
ligando?
Yeah, the first person.
I think she's
Yeah,
first person. What?
yeah,
Oh
like
yeah, sorry, no.
if
I
I
don't know the.
okay, eu estou, você está, sabe?
Mhm.
Yeah, but the thing is, what I really like about people
Oh,
traveling
okay.
is that the you learn like the language where everyone understands you, and so you don't need to really learn more. Like I really noticed that
Yeah.
when I was learning Spanish, uh, even for years after, I kept learning more Spanish, and I realized how little I learned, how little I knew. But actually, I knew everything that was useful, and it was just okay. And my roommate that I learned it from, he was like,
Hmm.
if they understand you, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Like people don't care. It's just like when you go to school
Hmm.
and university, you have all these specific.
That's what the yeah, a guy here told me as well. I was talking with this random, like store manager.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's kind of hard to learn Portuguese, because like, Dutch is way different. And he was like, well, you talk and I understand you, so it's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't
And
matter.
like, just very dry like that.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so I wanted to speak a bit about, well, I thought the relationship you have with our grandparents is really beautiful. And I don't know, it made me very emotional to hear you speak about it. And um, I think when I got
Hmm.
into a relationship with Jules, and I was a lot less with family, and then my grandma died, I think you being so emotional about that kind of made me really aware of how much I was, let's say, missing. And that really, I don't know,
Yeah.
it really stuck with me, and it was really difficult, but very good that you told me that I was not enough with family. But I was curious to hear how you think about your grandparents. Yeah,
Oh, like it's kind of hard for me because like I thought about this like last week, and
yeah,
because I don't know why, but there's like this this guilty part of me, uh, because like every time our opa Tone, our mother's father, like we had this like not called like roster where every week one of the his kids goes with the whole family to eat like dinner with him on Sunday. And every time we were like, it felt like a chore, you know. And then when he's gone, you wish you could have gone every day, you know. And like same always for like even Christmas, like all those kinds of stuff where you see your grandparents. For me, they felt like things I had to do, so I
yeah,
didn't enjoy them as much. But like now, I feel guilty or something, you know, that I didn't go as often
yeah,
as I should.
yeah,
But yeah, I think all of them I had like said goodbye to pretty well. So I'm like glad how I said goodbye to them, but I wish I just did more
yeah,
with them, you know.
yeah. I understand. What did you like about them?
Well, with Oma, it was like always the kindness is in her voice, you know. She has always that like inner voice you could just hear. This is probably the kindest mo woman I've ever met in my life, and uh, all the things she did with like setting up fundraisers for like kids in Africa and stuff, and like for knitting all of her grandchildren like a big as
Quilt,
blanket and stuff,
quilt.
like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
quilt. Yeah, like that cost so much time, 20, 25 or something.
yeah,
I don't know how much grandkids we had.
yeah,
Like, but basically like that, and I was uh, caring for people like unconditionally,
hmm,
and that's I think the same for our grandpa from our dad's side. Like I think his faith and what he's what he did for people and what he always wanted to do for people. Like I remember when like one of the last times I visited him, then he was talking about selling his apartment and stuff and selling his houses that he had. My dad was like, "No, I don't want to give you any trouble later" and stuff. Like he was so much about like caring for his kids that he wanted to do everything, like sell his house, like take care of everything.
yeah,
But also like the small things, like we would go out to eat with him, and our dad wanted to pay the bill, and he was like, "No." And then I remember one time my dad sneaked out and paid the bills in secret, and then I think one of the waiters told our grandpa, and he got like, "Why did you do that? You know I wanted to pay and stuff." And he got like a bit frustrated because I he wants just to be there for his grandkids, you know.
yeah. Yeah, that's
And I
beautiful.
think with Opaton, it's just always like he was always the first to come to Fari.
Yeah,
Like always in his like he used to always be his golden car, like his golden Toyota or something. And then he was always the last to leave as well.
yeah,
Uh, and he was always like in to visit, like anywhere he would visit. Uh, and I really like also admire like his courage to like for both of them to like keep going after the love of your life died, you know.
yeah,
And especially with Opa because with Opa Tone, our mom's side, because I heard that like when our grandma died, like what's like 24 years ago.
yeah. Long time.
Um, yeah, like he gave up smoking one day on the other, you know.
Yeah,
Uh, like that's kind of small stuff, and then he didn't know what to do, so he traveled the whole world. And like Opa Tone always had like the most fun stories also about the war. He loved talking about the war.
yeah,
Like even though he was like 6 at the time or something or 7, but like he always had these amazing stories about the war.
yeah.
And I think I didn't know a lot about his past except for the war, but from what I've heard, like he was also a very loyal man with his job as well,
Yeah, it was.
and with his connections, and especially also with God.
Hmm.
Like he went to church times a day on Sunday. I think maybe like in the middle of the week as well.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think like I think all our grandparents are like at least people I look up to the most in this world.
yeah, yeah. It's beautiful. I feel like it
Yeah.
changed you when because our grandmother died first. I think that really. I think it
Mhm.
changed you. I don't know if it did. I don't know how that was for
No,
you.
it definitely did. It's like I think it was at the time or still is one of the most important things that happened in my life because it was the first time I lost like a person
Hmm.
that was close to me. And it was like also fast,
Yeah,
uh, because I went there straight from school because I think uh, her dad called me while I was still in school, and then but I didn't know she was going to die yet. I just thought she was in the hospital, and then it was like kind of bad. So I went straight from school there, biking. Of memory, I don't even know how because I went there once in my life, but it was like so rushed with adrenaline. And I remember I came there, and I think I was the first of the grandkids to arrive. Uh, and I remember he took me to Oma's room and started crying, and I saw her, and she was like, "Don't worry, I'm going to a better place now."
yeah,
And that was like I didn't know that she was gonna be gone until she said it. But I think that moment, like even though you weren't there, of course, but when she eventually died and standing with like almost her whole family across her bed, like singing these psalms was like the most beautiful moment of my life.
yeah,
And I remembered because or no, we got out of the room and I just wanted to go home. I had a long day. I wasn't like I went from school straight to the hospital and then everybody wanted like one last hug, like a one last group hug.
yeah,
I like just our small family. And I biked home as well for the first time listening to Frank Ocean uh, because you recommended it to me and I wanted to save for a special occasion. Uh, but no, I think like dealing with death is like one of the things you learn from the most, you know?
yeah,
Ugh, okay. Because like it's not like with a heartbreak, it's only yourself that's hurting but
yeah,
like if you lose someone in your family, you can't be selfish and only caring about yourself. You have to be there for other people
yeah,
because you're family or if it's with friends.
yeah,
And I think at that point, like even being there for a dad,
yeah,
those like small gestures and that kind of moment is just really important. And I think that's like the time where switch went off
yeah,
again, where I was like, it's time like you need to spend more time with the people you love because what I realized these past years is that time goes by so fast.
yeah,
Like, especially like when now that my high school ended, like I look at photos and like everything goes by so fast, way faster than it should.
yeah,
Like even this exchange, like 6 months already.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's
yeah,
crazy.
but yeah. So I think grandma's death was like definitely a turning point.
Hmm.
Like also in my faith
Yeah.
and just family as a whole. You
Mm.
know.
Yeah, you made a beautiful video about that. Um,
Yeah.
for your
Yeah.
school project, even though you didn't do the assignment correctly. I thought it was
No,
really
it's
beautiful.
still got a passing grade. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't even show it because it's in Dutch and everything, but I think it was, well, you can explain what kind of video it was and how you structured it, but it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever.
Well, it was like basically the only thing I can remember where I actually like did my best on a school
Right.
project because I don't know, because it's actually something I want to do because it's like creating, like creating a video, a vlog,
Yeah.
and but the assignment was basically like to show a self-portrait of yourself, and I made it like too philosophical or something, but I started out with like yeah, the assignment was to like tell something about yourself. Like, who are you? But who am I? And stuff. And yeah, I basically structured it like a bunch of, it was supposed to be like all original material and like things you took only for the video itself, but only, only used like my old pictures and stuff. But I think that does bring out the character more like, in my video, but like I basically introduced everyone first with funny pictures. And I think like it was nice to make it because you get to relive all these memories if
Yeah.
you're like looking back in your pictures, of course. And I don't know, I talked about grandma as well and grandpa as well, I think. I'm not sure anymore. Uh, but it was basically I just told them like what shaped me in life
Mm.
and what were like the important moments for me and what did I learn from those moments. And then I think I ended it with the Mac Miller song,
Yeah.
which I'm still crazy how I did it. Like I love the video. I sometimes watch it back here as well.
Yeah.
And I played piano and all these different like POVs, like from up on the
Yeah.
ceiling, from the left, from the right, from behind. And it's the song is called Congratulations for those who don't know. And then as soon as the beat drops, like you have this compilation of like all just fun videos of me going out with my friends or like things at school or things in our family and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's still like some people get like the urge in the middle of the night to set their alarm for 5 a.m. and start going to the gym. But I don't know, like I get always the urge to like make a whole video about something, like
Yeah.
edit the whole thing and
Yeah.
make like a whole video documentary.
Yeah, you should do that. You should, I think you should really do something
Yeah,
with YouTube also. I think it would be cool.
yeah. I think I just want to create that's mostly like music videos,
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Hmm.
It's I have the same with creating and stuff, but I just don't have like not so much with music per se, but I love putting music underneath. I really like, I don't know, like cinematic music to put it under.
Hmm.
But I
Like
think it would be
on
really
Simmer,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, on Simmer. I think it would be really cool if you try to make some stuff. And usually the first couple of things are not good, but I think you already made a good one to start with. So clearly you
Hmm.
have some talent in it, and if you work on it, you can only get better.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
so I often speak on this channel about the time of my life that um I don't know, I started to really get into self-help and stuff, and wake up early and work, and gap year and stuff. And I kind of feel that doing that, I in a way I'm happy that I did it, because the the character that I have today was very much shaped by it. But also I really realized after like a year or two that was not balanced. And you know yeah, I made a lot of videos about it, kind of arguing against that way of living. And I think that you never, I think because of this experience you had with grandma, you never had to go into it, because you had the bigger realization before that of what is important. I didn't know what was important, so I thought about myself first, and I thought I was
Hmm.
important, you know, success and stuff like that. And then afterwards, I realized that love is important and people are important. And I kind of, I want to tell you this because I think that of all the people, I hurt you the most with that because my other family members, they were in their own lives, and I didn't even spend so much time with them. But I think we were really close, and a lot of what we were really
Hmm.
close about was uh, I don't know, playing video games together, like uh, doing things that I kind of put out of my life, and but there was still so much joy
Yeah.
being, and I'm really sad that kind of with cutting out all of those habits, I cut out all of the joy as well. And I'm I often talk about it with Jules that I really feel like I missed the most beautiful development in your life, and uh, I'm never gonna get that back, and
No, but like
it really bothers me.
you should you shouldn't feel guilty because you were growing up.
Yeah,
Like you went through like a shit ton of problems in high school.
yeah,
Um, and you definitely shouldn't feel guilty for me, even though of course I was sad, but you had your own stuff to figure out, just same as me, you know?
yeah. But I'm so happy that you're doing it without going away from people and into isolation. So
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you for that. This is the most crying I've ever done on a podcast. Um, but yeah, I
I
actually,
remember,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I think it was like one of the family barbecues like a year ago or something. The you said like there was like a time like a year ago, a year and a half ago, where we like couldn't really stand each other.
Yeah,
Like every time we were together, we would just like because I'm basically like you, like the version you were, like every family gathering, I want to have a drink and stuff,
yeah,
and you were like, I got like mad easily, I lost my temper, and then I remember we were walking the fields with like just like the garden, and you were like, yeah, Isak and me, we have like the deepest bond, but we just hate each other. And I thought that was so funny way to like describe our relationship.
yeah, yeah. That's really good. I forgot about that, but it's true. It's true, and
Yeah,
I'm happy that we're brothers because I think if we were friends, I just wouldn't have seen you again. You know, like
no, that's true.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of things here. Um, so yeah, I'm actually coming to the end of my time because I have football in a bit, but uh, I'm
Mhm.
really happy that you make time for me, and I'm so happy about
Of course.
this year for you, and I'm really excited for the coming months. And uh,
Hmm.
thank you so much for sharing so openly and vulnerably. And uh, I'm so happy to be your brother, and I hope to be a better one every time. So so thank
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
of course. Hopefully
And
you come on again. We do it again sometime.
yeah.
Maybe in a year or five
Sure.
years, or it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Will be fun for everyone to watch this.
Mhm.
All right. Ti amo, irmão. Uh, até pronto.
Até pronto, sim.
Até pronto.
Até.
See you.